Good evening and welcome to the Keisha Phillips podcast talk show. This is the beginning of season 3. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening in. Season 3. Oh my God. Season 3 is going to be filled with so many everyday life challenges. Coming up in season 3, we're going to continue to talk about, would you date yourself? We're going to talk about know your potential. We're going to continue to discuss relationships, marriage. We're going to continue to touch bases on the ins and out of what makes a successful relationship, a successful marriage. Would you marry? Would you be in a contract marriage? What do you think about that? Contract marriage. Would you be in one? We're going to talk about the importance of knowing your worth. Know your worth, and then you add tags. And we're also going to continue our discussion on the biggest investment you can make is in yourself. Let me say that again. The biggest investment you can make is in yourself. We're going to continue to talk about longevity and how we can have longer lifespans. Things that we can do to increase our lifespans. I'm going to make sure that you understand those 5 numbers and how they impact your life. And how that knowing those 5 numbers can save your life. We're going to have a special guest throughout the season 3. And we're also going to have guests to tune in that's going to go into some topics that they have interest in and want to discuss. So these are some things that we have going for season 3. Season 3 begins when? May 27, 2024. Also coming up in season 3, I am going to begin a nightly podcast. A nightly podcast that is coming by special requests. So in season 3, I'm also going to be beginning a nightly podcast. It's only going to be 1 episode starting off, and then I'm just going to see how that goes, and then we will go I'm going to go from there. I'm also going to have some artists on my show in season 3. I have it all outlined and some very exciting topics and some things that we're going to discuss. And we are going to talk about the games that people play. And I want to have a better understanding as to why people play games. Why is it that people cannot be serious? Why can't things be about respect? Why can't we go up that corporate ladder the right way? The way that it was meant to climb. We're going to discuss our full potential and the things that we can do to develop our potential. Careers, opportunities. We're going to go into the beginning of what you can do to get yourself ready for retirement. Are you ready? Are you ready to retire? We're going to talk about that also in season 3. And we're going to work our way into season 4. In season 4, we're going to be talking about the Keisha Phillips podcast show going live. I'm excited. What about you? Subscribe. I've had many people to tell me that they have subscribed to my podcast. You can listen on Amazon Music, and you can also listen on iHeart. You can also find me on YouTube, Google Podcasts. But to my understanding, Google Podcasts is going to no longer be operating come June 30th, 2024. So it would be in your better interest to what? To subscribe to one of the other podcasts under the other locations, networks that I am going to be on. I am not at this time on Apple Podcasts. I am not. Okay, so don't look for me on Apple. I'm not on Apple. I don't have an iPhone. And I had considered doing Apple, but I'm not going to do it at this time. If you have any topics that you would like to discuss in the upcoming next 2 seasons, season 3, season 4, please send me an email. You can always comment after any podcast that you listen to. If you have any questions, if you have any suggestions, leave it in the comment. I promise I will respond to all comments. And guess what? Your comment may have the what? It may be on what? The next podcast. Okay? I'm looking for guests. If you're interested in being a guest on the Keisha Phillips podcast talk show, send me an email. You can always go to my calendar and calendar.com, book Keisha Phillips and schedule an appointment. Let's talk about the topic that you're interested in and the things that you want to talk. Tell me how you're going to present it. And we can schedule you a day and a time to be what? Live on my show. I am very thankful, grateful for all of you that have taken the time to listen to my podcast. I appreciate your love and I appreciate your support. I am trying to cater to all walks of life, males and females, 21 and older. And I'm also trying to cater to international, global, worldwide. If there's anything that you would like me to talk about or a topic that you want to discuss on my show, let me know. I will be more than happy to have you on my show as a guest or a special guest. I'm thankful. I am for your support. So these are the things that we're going to be discussing in season 3 and season 4. I have some very special segments coming up. We're going to talk about compound interest for those of you who may not be familiar with compound interest. We're also going to talk about money, M-O-N-E-Y, money. And we're also going to talk about what? Unsolved crime. Yes, unsolved crime. I am in the number 1 state for crime. I'm in the number 1 state for all these underlying illnesses that you cannot, there are no cures. We're ranked number 1 for everything. There's nothing positive in that equation. So these are things that we're going to be talking about in season 3 and season 4. Because it is time for what? Change. A lot of things have to change. And that change begins with whom? It begins with every person, your individual. And we must come together to make the changes that are necessary to save this nation. I was looking at a movie about 2 weeks ago, and the name of that movie is America is Sinking. And the truth is, it was based upon true events. And the sad thing about it is America is sinking. I would hate to look up one day and see the Statue of Liberty underwater. We have to come together to make the necessary changes to save this nation. We are surrounded by what? Natural disasters. Your hurricanes, your earthquakes, your tsunamis, your tornadoes, your volcanoes, your mudslide, the flooding. And these are all things that can happen at a moment's notice, if you even get the notice in time. These are everyday situations that are happening throughout this nation, some more than others. And if we don't take a stand for the things to change that need to change, America is going to sink. It is sinking. That's one of the reasons why you have your sea level rise. That's one of the reasons why they look up and they find salt and all these things in the water. People, we have to come together to do the things that are necessary. But these are things that we're going to talk about. Season 5, we're going to go into political, because by that time we're going to be heading deeper into the upcoming presidential election for 2024. Know who you're voting for. Know why you may support that particular candidate. Understand the things that they're trying to bring to this nation, to America, to the United States of America. Know their reasons, their beliefs, their values, and what they stand for. So when you go out there and you cast your vote for the right candidate, the candidate that is going to help make the necessary changes. Don't be blindsided, America. Don't be blindsided. Know who you're voting for, and know why you're voting for that particular candidate. So these are some of the things that you have to be looking forward to in season 3, in season 4, and also in season 5. Night podcast begins June 1st. I do one night a week. I will go more into details as it approaches closer to that date. I'm Keisha, and welcome and thank you again for listening to the Keisha Phillips podcast talk show.